morning, everyone. Thanks for joining today's session. I'm Veena Kumar, Wellness and Partner Network Manager at Alpha Team Belize. As you are aware, today we are having a session on emotional freedom. We have today Mr. David Samuel to teach us techniques of emotional freedom. It's our honor we have you, Mr. David, on this platform. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation. Thanks everyone for joining today's session. Hope you find this session informative. I would request everyone to post your questions on Q&A section, which we will take towards the end of the session. Thank you so much.
Right. Hello. Thank you for having me, Veena.
David, hold on. Let me send you live for a second. Give me a second.
Okay.
Mr. David, you are live now.
Thank you. Thank you, Veena, for inviting me. Happy to be here. Just a very brief background on myself so you understand where I'm coming from. All of my work is my own experience. I've been supporting myself since I'm 13 years old. And by 25, I owned 8 companies, which I had built myself. And at 28, I retired. And then I became a monk. Zen, Sufi, Hindu, several different traditions, and then spent 4 years in isolation in the Rocky Mountains, in all 7 years as a monk. So I have the background of business. In all, at this point, I've owned over 20 different companies. And from the spiritual side of life, to find a balance. Where was my success really stemming from? How did I succeed so well in business? And how was I to incorporate concepts from spiritual traditions without it being anything that really takes us away from a normal life? And so I found that my success was actually all based on personality, on the way I could deal with situations. I've been in businesses from retail stores up to nuclear waste remediation, so even nuclear energy. How I could do all of these different things with really only a high school education. Everything is based on emotional balance. When things are falling apart, can you stay calm, balanced, and unaffected, but yet compassionate, really emotional, but emotions that come from stability, a strength of character, rather than events throwing your emotions whichever way the events want to throw them. So you lose your temper, lose your cool. So all of my work is based, as I said, on my own experience, and I've been teaching around the world for over 30 years, so seeing how my students have developed. That's basically a little background on myself, but through the session and after the session, I'm very open to all your questions. All right, so let's just begin because we only have an hour. So the first and most important concept is nothing ever happened to you. It's not really about you. And that's where we get thrown off. When people are attacking, insulting, intimidating you, whatever it may be, situations are going bad, people tend to feel, why me? Why are you attacking me? And they take it personally. But the reality is, it's never really about you. For example, there we go. That was one of my cars. It was a T intersection. This is in New Zealand when I lived there. It was a T intersection. So I had the right of way, and then there's a stop sign. There was a long line of cars. It was, busy time. Now, the fellow who used to own that bumper was not sitting there waiting, watching the cars go by, saying, no, that's not David, that's not David. Oh, there's David, okay, let me run the stop sign and hit him. No, he didn't do that. It wasn't about me. Now that's the most important concept to understand, is that whenever something is happening, whenever somebody is giving you trouble or putting pressure on you, it's not about you personally. It's the situation. You just happen to be the one there, right? So that's the first concept. Now the next thing is, I love this definition. Oops, switch sides there. Oop, we went one too far. There we go. Insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So if you want your life to change in any way, small, big, at home, at work, whatever it is, it's up to you to change how you are doing things. Be that reacting to situations or habitual patterns or whatever it may be. Now, the way I work my workshops is I give you pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. Each piece is, of course, a little picture on its own, but at the end, it all comes together and makes a lot of sense. So forgive me, but the first concepts are just independent thoughts, and we'll put it all together. So insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. I think you could define yourself as insane, and everybody you know, but we can stop going in circles. And I only speak from my personal experience and the thousands of people that I have helped and taught around the world, right? Our life is going in circles. We can break that and go forward. It is possible. And you'll learn how to do that in this 1 hour talk. All right, now, the next concept is a donkey with a load of books is still a donkey. A huge amount of knowledge, information doesn't change you. But one page, one paragraph of one book that you can really understand and change the way you function, the way your mind works, and it is possible to change the way your mind works, that will change your life. But just reading a lot of books, taking a lot of workshops, and not actually doing anything, that just keeps you going in circles your whole life, all right? So you have to understand that gathering more information isn't going to change you. Donkey's still going to be a donkey. So we have to make use of the information. You have to make use and make changes, which again, we're going to show you how. There'll be quite a few exercises in this workshop. All right. So now here's the next concept. And this is really the key. This one concept, if you could really grasp it and make this change your entire life. Then that train goes straight forward for the rest of your life. It's not what you don't know that gets you in trouble, but it's what you know for certain that's not true, that you're wrong. Because you subconsciously shut down and stop listening. Let me tell you a little story, a true story. I had two of my students. One fellow, he owned the house, and the girl was renting a room, flatting in the house. And one day, the boy did something nice for the girl, and while he was out, she brought a chocolate bar and a Coca-Cola as a little gift to say thank you. She put the chocolate bar with a note on his desk saying, "Thank you for the nice thing you did," whatever it was, "and I put also a Coca-Cola in the fridge for you." All right. So she had to go out. He comes home and he sends her a text. "Thanks for the chocolate. Oh, and I see you have a Coke in the fridge. Do you mind if I drink it?" You see? And I said to him, why did you have to ask that? It was in the note. What happened? He said, "Well, I read thank you. I saw the chocolate, so I thought I knew what it was," and stopped reading. 2 lines he couldn't read. And I'm sure you can all relate to this, either you or somebody. You send an email, they give you an answer, and you say, "Can't they read a 2-line email?" Right? Because you think you know. You think you understand, so you stop listening. How many arguments have you had? How many problems, disagreements, fights at home or in the office that you find out later, oh, if I actually had heard the whole story, I would have understood and we wouldn't have had a problem. So that's your first exercise. Stop thinking you know anything and always listen to the whole story. Read the whole email in detail. Listen carefully to what the person is really saying instead of thinking you understand. Because another thing I'm sure you'll agree with is that when you're trying to explain something and the other person says, yes, I understand, you know they don't, right? Because you know what you're trying to say. And you can tell they don't understand. and yet they think they do. And that gets you extremely frustrated, right? I'm sure you can identify with this. You understand this. So you have to remember, you're doing the same thing to other people. Even when you think, no, I understood them. I don't do that. So even when you think you understand what I'm saying, maybe you only think you understand. So I'm hoping you will really think about this. Take a screenshot of this slide, put it on your desktop, and remind yourself to stop talking and really listen, right? This will make a big, big change in your life. A little story. I like little stories. There's this professor. He goes to see the Zen master in Japan, and he says, I would like to learn about Zen. And the master says, yes, certainly, of course, please have a seat. Would you like some tea? Oh, yes, that'd be nice. Thank you very much. So as the master's preparing the tea, the professor starts saying, well, I have a PhD in this and a PhD in this, and I studied at Yale and Harvard and Oxford and blah, 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 blah. He keeps talking about all the places he studied, all the knowledge he has, and the master starts pouring the tea, and the professor's rambling on about all his achievements, and the cup fills and it's overflowing, and he keeps pouring. And the professor goes, what's wrong with you? What kind of master are you? Can't you see the cup is full? Why do you keep pouring? He said, this is Zen. Your cup is so full. How can I put any more in? So you see, when you think you know, when you're carrying a lot of books and you think you know things, you stop listening. Nobody can give you any more. So in a conversation, in a heated conversation or a difficult one where you're getting very emotional, you've got to remember that's because you're not actually listening. You only think you understand. And that's riling you up because, like the car, you're taking it personally instead of listening to find out that the person is not actually giving problems to you, but they're in stress about something and they're venting at you because you're the one there. But it's not personally about you. So if we stop thinking we know, listening more, trying to understand with compassion what is happening in the other person's life and the overall situation that you just happen to be involved in, you'll stay a lot more calm, and then things can be sorted out quickly. All right? So, do you know who Medusa was? Well, she was a Greek in the Greek mythology. Her hair was made of snakes. And if you looked at Medusa, you turned to stone. That's her power. Now, fixed opinions are Medusa. They're a deadly poison. They turn your mind to stone. And you stop listening. You stop thinking. Now, this is not my ex-girlfriend, but a story about her. She looked a little like this. One day, she started getting these terrible headaches. And these headaches, every afternoon, she's getting this migraine, severe migraine. And she didn't know what to do. So she goes to the doctors. Doctor can't figure out what's wrong with her. Sends her to a brain surgeon. They do x-rays, MRIs, CAT scans, all these tests. And even the top brain surgeons cannot figure out why she's getting these terrible migraines every day in the afternoon. And it's going on for about a month. And then finally she can't take it. So anyway, she takes a weekend. She stays in bed the whole day. Doesn't get out of bed. No headache. Great. So Sunday, the next day, she does the same. Stays in bed. No headache. Wonderful. I'm cured. So Monday morning, she gets up. She puts on her makeup. She does her new hairstyle like this. And Monday afternoon, she gets a headache. And she figured it out. She had changed her hairstyle, tied her hair so tight that by the afternoon, it cut off the blood flow and gave her a headache. She didn't need a brain surgeon, she needed a hairdresser. But you see, the doctors, the surgeons, so full of their knowledge, so certain they know pain in the head, therefore it's in the head, not just the hair. And they don't think. So, this is a real example of how important it is that if you want your life to change and you want to move forward and you want more emotional freedom, that we have to start looking outside of ourselves, to open our mind to new ideas and not limit to ideas that are things we know already. So in business, and trust me, building a nuclear safe laboratory, there's a lot of problems that come up. We have to think creatively without always referring to what we already know. And that goes for, when he said that to me or she said that to me, I know what you meant. Well, maybe not. Maybe they meant something else. Okay, so you're getting the picture how insanity is doing the same thing. It's not always about you, and we cannot always know what we think we know. So when something is happening that usually gets you emotional, angry, frustrated, scared, nervous, guilty, whatever it is, you've got to remember it's not about you. You are reacting the same way because you think you know what that other person or the situation really is intending to say, and you're taking it personally. So when you realize that, and the exercises will show you how to do this, but when you realize that, whatever the situations are, you will stay calm. You will be unaffected in the habitual ways you've been affected. All right? So let me tell you about a little story before we get to this exercise. This fellow is out in his yard. It's row houses, you know, they're all connected to each other with a little small garden in front. And this fellow is out looking in the garden, and his neighbor comes up and he says, hey, Pete, what are you doing? He says, I lost my keys. Oh, I'll help you look. So the two of them are looking in this little garden for an hour, and it's a very small garden. And finally, Harry says, Pete, are you sure you lost your keys here? We can't find them. He says, no, I lost them in the house. You lost it in the house? Why are we looking in the garden? He says, well, the light is much better out here. You see, we often look at the wrong place instead of the right place to find the real problem. So if your life is going in circles and you think you've been looking for the real problem, you might have been looking in the wrong place, which is you're maybe blaming somebody else instead of accepting that you have been the one taking things personally, misinterpreting because you think you know. So the exercise is find the source of your opinion. Now, this exercise is about anything in your life, all right? For example, when I was young, I hated tomatoes. Couldn't stand tomatoes. Don't even give me a tomato. I'll pick it off my plate, won't touch it. So I figured out this exercise through my life of study of how the mind works, of psychology. And I figured out that my father loves tomatoes, and I wasn't very happy with him. So whatever he loved, I hated. So it was transference, you see? So it doesn't matter what your opinion is about. Is the weather good or bad? Is it about what style of clothing is nice? Is it about an actor? It doesn't matter. Any opinions you have in your life, you can think about them and question, why do I have this opinion? Is it based on my own personal repeated experience, which could be because of, going in circles that I've taken it personally? Or is it about your education? You've been taught this is how it is, but you never actually experienced it in your life? Or is it just because somebody you respect said so and you're copying them? So for any opinion you have, you can think of whatever you've had, you can do this going forward. Anytime you get an opinion, you question, what is the source of my opinion? And then you'll start to see that you're not actually thinking for yourself. You are just copying events or outside circumstances or things like that. And because of that, you are not really you, which is this next slide. Now, you're not really you. My mother is from India. I'm telling you, if I was talking like my mother, like an Indian, would you know where I am from coming? I'm born in Canada, huh? No. You see, let's take Donald Trump. Everybody knows Donald Trump, of course, so I use him as an example. What if little baby Donald, 1 day old, brand new, same hospital, same parents, he was taken from America and he was brought to India and he was raised, adopted by parents in Gujarat in India. Donald would be an Indian, huh? He'd have the same body, but he would, he'd be a vegetarian, he'd speak Hindi, he'd be Hindu, total different, huh? Who are you? What are you? You're a product of the environment you grew up in, regardless of your genetics of your body. So in Quebec, in Montreal, where I'm from, we have immigrants, Chinese, Asians, people from all over the world. And in Quebec, it's illegal for you to go to English school unless your parents were educated there. So all of these immigrants have their kids, and these kids are grown up in French, Canadian, Québécois schools. Eh bien, ils parlent français, toujours. Sont des Québécois, là. They don't speak English. They're not any of their normal culture. They are more Québécois, despite their body. So who are you really? That's something we really have to think about. If you were raised in another country, would you be the same person you are? Therefore, you are only programmed through the opinions that you have adopted from your upbringing, which means you can change. I call it baby no name. Baby no name, when you're born, you don't have a name, you don't have a culture, you don't have a language, you don't have anything. That's all given to you. You've learned it. You know what's amazing about a baby? They can speak any language in the world. Depends where they grow up. So we can reform. We have that ability as a conscious human being by understanding how you became what you are, how you have the emotional reactions that you have, because you learned how to respond. Now in Canada, there's a saying we have for little children. When the little kid comes home and they're crying because somebody said nasty things to them, their mother always says, sticks and stones can break your bones, but names can never hurt you. And you go, oh, okay, you're right, yeah, so what he said to me can't hurt me. Okay, so you feel good. And then later that night, daddy comes home, says something to mommy, and the next thing you know, they're having a big fight. And you learn that names, words can hurt you. And that's how you develop that opinion. You see, you don't think, you don't understand what they said because you're a little kid. But when we're little kids, we see, we don't understand, but we see people talking. This one says something, that one gets upset. So I learned that words can hurt me. But in fact, that's not true. And we're going to get into that. Now, freedom is realizing and accepting there's nothing real about you, right? Because you could be anybody depending on where you're born. For immigrant parents who have kids, like Asian parents who raise their children in Canada, they see the difference. They say, wow, my kid is nothing like me, because they have a different accent, different language, different attitudes, and so on. So there's nothing real about you. You're born a sponge, and you have absorbed the water, the events, clean or muddy, good events, bad events, and so on. And now you think you are the water instead of knowing you are the sponge. So you have become so attached to the personality that is developed. You forgot that there's a mind that has learned to be this way. And that can be rinsed out and you can reform. And you'll see the exercises. It's very simple. So to be fully confident, don't just think who you are, know who you are. There's in a movie, there's this American and an Indian arguing, and the Indian is staying very calm. And the American is getting very frustrated. And in America, when he's very frustrated with someone, you say, who do you think you are? how can you be so confident or so arrogant or something? Who do you think you are? And the Indian says, in India, sir, we don't think who we are. We know who we are. That's the trick, you see. When you know who you are, you know, am I reliable? Am I dependable? Am I honest? I know who I am, so it doesn't matter what you think of me. So we have to work on living a way where we know who we are. We stop living with opinions, with imagination, with distorted ideas, and then you know who you are. Now, when you're fully confident and you know who you are, it's very hard for somebody to throw off your emotions. Right? So that's what our work is about, by the way, is in the longer workshops and my other courses, to become fully confident with yourself, to have a powerful self-esteem so nobody can throw you off because you know who you are, right? So that's another thing. Now, here's something. I'm a little bit contrary to common methods. My work is often contradicts what's commonly thought. So affirmations, right? Everybody knows about affirmations. I'm awesome, I'm great. Keep telling yourself these things and you'll become that way. Well, have you noticed that people tell themselves these things and actually you don't change that much? You just keep repeating it like a Band-Aid over a wound that never heals. And the reason is your subconscious knows the truth. So if you keep saying, I'm an honest person, and you steal here, I never lie, and you lie there. You can keep saying, I'm honest, but your subconscious knows that you're not, because you're not behaving that way. So affirmations do not help if your conduct does not match with the affirmation. And likewise, if your conduct changes, you don't need affirmations because you know the truth. Your subconscious is always watching you. That is why people need to sleep a lot. I've had a lot of my students, when they come to me, they need 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours sleep. And I get them down to 5. Actually, the human body is very good with 6 hours, 5 to 6 hours. I personally only sleep about 4. And I'm full of energy. Because I know the truth about me. So when you sleep, no matter what the affirmations or exercises you do, if your behavior doesn't match, you're always sort of waiting for somebody to catch you out. So you have to remember that if you are not achieving emotional freedom and you want it, that's because your behavior doesn't match with all the affirmations you're trying to use, because your subconscious knows the truth, which means your sleep is never truly restful, and so nothing ever changes. So it begins not with affirmations, words, but with actions. And all these things I've been telling you so far, and then the exercises we'll do later on, okay? Now, here's another saying. This is from Confucius, the Chinese philosopher. Rather than demanding to be respected, make yourself worthy of respect. Then you will have self-respect. And self-respect, when you respect yourself, because you know who you are, your emotions are always balanced. Now, by the way, I do not at all believe in anger management. Anger management is terrible. That is like taking a can of soda, of Coca-Cola, and shaking it for years. And one day, your anger management fails and that can opens and, have you ever tried that? Take a can of Coca-Cola, shake it up, and then open it. Goes out like a fountain. I believe in eliminating the cause of anger, which is not that which makes you angry, but it is that part of you that gets angry. Now, by the way, you might notice my website is David Samuel Cloud. So let me just tell you why cloud and where this ties in here. Everyone's trying to be a mountain. I want to be respected. I'm important. Respect me. It starts when we're 2 years old for those of you who have kids. I say, no, 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 no. Respect me. Now that's like being a mountain. And a mountain is solid. Everyone sees it, but it doesn't move. And when a plane flies into a mountain, everyone dies and the mountain gets damaged. However, have you ever been in a plane flying through a cloud and looked at that cloud? Cloud never gets bothered, does it? A cloud changes shape. You cannot catch it. You cannot destroy it. You cannot create it. You cannot move it. And when a cloud wants to, it can get so black it blots out the sun. Power is in being a cloud, which means that you're very versatile. You can adapt to any situation. Nobody can control you. And when the plane goes through you, you don't get hurt and nobody gets hurt. So it means that having boundaries where you can't say that to me, you have to do this for me, you can't behave that way to me, you set up boundaries to control other people. That's again common thought, right? But that makes you a mountain. And let's face it, there's no way one person can control everybody and make everybody behave the way they want. That's not going to happen. So being a mountain and demanding others respect you because you said so is being a mountain. But when you make yourself worthy of respect and know who you are and conduct yourself in a way that you would respect that person, you become a cloud. You adapt to situations. You adapt to other people. That's called compassion. When we have real compassion and we can adapt so easily as a cloud, everyone will respect you because there's never a crash. Every situation you can adapt to and allow it to continue on its course without you falling apart. So that's why I say my work is to become a cloud rather than a mountain. And that is true power, right? So instead of demanding to be a mountain, being a mountain, we need to be a cloud who is so adaptable, and then people will admire you. I've had people I work with come to me after working with me for years, and they said, David, you know something. And I want to know what that is. And that's what will happen to you, as happened to many of my students. People come to them. One fellow, he had dropped out of the 8th grade. Came to work with me, I trained him. Never mind how high he got within my organization, but he ended up being a regional manager for Starbucks in Quebec province. That's 6 million people. With an 8th grade education for Starbucks. You would think that to be a high senior executive, you would have to have diplomas and degrees in this. No, but it's because he was so worthy of respect. People trusted him so much. He raised his level. So he didn't raise his level, he was raised, right? Okay, so think about that. Now, guilt is the seed of low self-esteem. But should you feel guilty? Do you really need to feel? When people make you feel guilty, do you think about, is it just a way of manipulating you to make you feel bad so they can control you? So you have to examine whenever somebody is making you feel guilty, you question yourself and say, do I deserve that? Did I really do what they said? And if it is true, and I did make that mistake or whatever it is, I have to fix it. I need to take responsibility. Don't defend. There's one little way I put it. Divert and attack. Have you noticed when you're picking on someone, they did something wrong, and you say, you did this. The first thing they will do, and I'm sure you never do it, but the first reaction is justification. Oh, but this was happening, or that was happening, or I had no choice, or whatever, rather. And if you keep pushing to say, no excuses, then what they do is turn around and say, but you do this and you do that, right? So if I can't get out of it by diverting your attention, I'll try to get out of it by attacking you and make you feel guilty. So watch yourself do that. So whenever somebody is putting the guilt on you for whatever it is, be it at home or a relationship or at work, the first thing is, objectively from the outside, as if you're another person, did I really do that? And if I did, I need to humbly take responsibility and fix it. But if I didn't really do that, I can inquire, what's going on in that other person? What's happening with them? We're going to get to explain that more. But it's like one of my students, he was always feeling paranoid. He was very paranoid. Always, people are talking about me. Everyone is talking about me. And what happened was, I couldn't understand and I couldn't help him get over this. And then after some years, it comes out, he cheats on his taxes so bad. He creates fake invoices. He had his own business. Made fake invoices to build up his expenses, to cheat on the taxes so badly, he was always paranoid of getting caught. So anybody who he sees, even if it has nothing to do with tax, he was always paranoid. So this is what I mean about feeling guilty. If you are doing something, even unrelated to other situations in your life, that you feel very guilty about, that'll make you a little bit more sensitive to what other people think about you or say about you. You will become a little more paranoid. And that destroys your self-confidence. And that makes you more sensitive to feeling attacked. So, consider everything in your life. Are you doing anything that you feel really guilty about, that you know is wrong? Again, I have to say it, that everything that's in your mind, it's your life. Your behavior, your subconscious is aware of it. And that makes you confident or insecure and paranoid. And if you are insecure or paranoid because your subconscious knows your behavior is not worthy of respect, you will become far more delicate and easily triggered with emotional reactions. So, if you are doing something that creates this kind of guilt, and you try affirmations and workshops, they're not working, and you keep doing those same things, that doesn't change anything in your life. So you've got to find the real cause of why you get angry, why you might be a little emotionally sensitive, and fix that. And then everything else changes. Okay? Oops. Here's one exercise about that. Honor your word. A person's true value, this is from my grandfather in India. He knew Gandhi, disciple of that. So I was raised with these kind of values. A person's true value is calculated by the degree to keep their word. If you say you'll do something, you must do it exactly as you said you would do it. I had one of my shops was a camera store, photo store, and a customer wanted to buy a camera. I didn't have it in stock, so I checked the supplier, got a price, I quoted the client. Great, everything is good. The camera arrived, but the supplier, the person I spoke to, quoted the wrong price. So it ended up costing me more than I quoted my client. But I honored my word. No excuses, no justification. I honored my word. I lost money. It's okay, I made a lot of money on other things with the client, but I honored my word. That makes me feel good. My word is as good as gold, even if I have to lose. Now, usually, what happens is doing this exercise changes the way your mind works, changes your behavior. You'll see. Because it is things like You meet someone, hey, oh, yeah, nice to see you, let's have lunch. But you don't want to have lunch with that person. You don't like that person. You never want to see that person if you can avoid them. But you're being polite. Yeah, let's have lunch. Let's go for coffee. Now, if you said it, you have to do it. Okay? That's the exercise. Everything you say, I'll call you at 3 o'clock. You must make that call. I'll send you an email tomorrow with the answer. You must do that. If you are very diligent in honoring every single thing you say, number one, you become amazing in this world because nobody does what they say. So you will respect yourself. Others will respect you because you're the only person who actually does everything they say. But what's more valuable is your subconscious starts to learn not to say things you don't mean, because it's going to realize if I just say something to be nice, I'm stuck with doing it. So I don't want to do that. So I'm not going to say something unless I'm willing to do it. So this exercise not only creates an amazing image of you in the eyes of other people, it creates great self-esteem, but it makes your mind much more present, much stronger, more aware of your actions, which means you will not say things that put your foot in your mouth. You will not accidentally say things that hurt someone that you'll feel guilty about saying later, because your mind will become more aware and think before you speak. It takes a few months of doing this exercise, but in 3-6 months, you will see you become a very different person. You'll feel so much better about yourself, and you will not be saying stupid things or mistaken things or put your foot in your mouth anymore. All right? So, now, this is another exercise. Every night you do this before you go to sleep. You ask these 6 questions. It takes only a couple minutes. So you review your day. When you're in bed, before you fall asleep, 2 minutes. What did I do well today? Oh, I put in a little extra effort. I helped the old lady cross the road. Whatever it is, you'll find what you did well, what you're proud of. What did I do that I should not have done? Oh, I stole a pen from the office, or I lied, or whatever, little things. What didn't I do that I should have done? Well, I promised to take my friend for coffee and I completely blew him off. What did I do that I could have done better? Well, I was cleaning, I went to my friend's house for dinner, and well, I helped take the dishes from the table to the kitchen. I could have helped wash and clean up. I only did it halfway. Did I do anything out of revenge? It's obvious. And what do I want to do tomorrow? Tomorrow, I want to be impeccable in all my actions, or whatever it is you want. But it should be about your behavior. You do this, and you'll see in a couple of months, if you do this every day, only a couple of minutes, you see how fast I went through it. Every day, in a few months, you will see you are feeling so strong, so powerful. You get an idea about my character, right? This is me, normal. I'm not putting on a show. You will feel so powerful, untouchable by events, that whatever happens, there's a beautiful poem called If by Rudyard Kipling. And one line is, when all of those around you are losing their head and you keep yours. That's power. And that's what you'll get by these 6 questions. So to have emotional freedom, you must know the cause of emotional pain, and that's you. Nobody is actually doing anything to you. Mr. Shakespeare said this beautifully. Nothing is good or bad, but thinking makes it so. You decide if it's good or bad. If I view a thing as evil, if I do not view something as evil, it cannot hurt me. And nothing compels me to view it so. That's my choice. That's free will. So you decide if something is good or bad. You decide if someone is attacking you or just venting their pain. Now, a human being is an animal, right? Human animal. If you go to pet the cobra, it doesn't know you just want to say, nice cobra, nice cobra. No, it doesn't know that. It sees an attack, so it bites back. Humans are the same. We are attacking out of self-preservation. So when someone is attacking, the absolute and always true cause of any attack is self-preservation. Your boss is angry at you. You didn't perform well, or you're not performing well on a project. Are they saying you are incompetent? Just like that? No. What if your boss needs their bonus to put their kids through university? And if this project fails, they won't get their bonus. Now, of course, that's not your problem. They're not your kids. But you have to understand why your boss is nervous. It is not just for the pleasure of making you feel terrible. No, there is something that they are feeling threatened about losing if this doesn't work. So when you take it personally without accepting the reality that every attack is out of fear, self-preservation, and you just happen to be the car driving by at the time, then you can respond with compassion. So when someone is attacking you, angry at you, giving you shit, instead of giving it back or divert an attack and all of this, what I do, what's wrong? What happened? Maybe they find out they have cancer, God forbid? Maybe they find out they're getting fired? Maybe they have big debts they can't pay? You don't know. But you do know one thing for sure. They are in pain. Now, here is something that also I'm very contrary to the common thought, where words have power, words have meaning. I say no. Words have no innate value whatsoever. Offensive, insulting, intimidating, rude, arrogant, no. All of those words have no value or power whatsoever. It is how you interpret the words. Si je parle français et tu comprends pas le français, je peux le dire que tu es toutes tes grandes vaches, entièrement fou et pas de chance en vie que tu vas être un succès. C'est bon, oui. That didn't affect you, if you don't speak French. Didn't affect you at all, did it? But if I said, you're a big fat cow, and you're completely stupid, and you have no chance in this world, in life, to ever be a success, well, that would hurt you, right? Because you interpreted those words. But the words themselves have no value, no power whatsoever. If you're deaf and blind, and I'm standing behind you, no matter how much I yell, that you don't even know I'm there. Words have no value whatsoever. It's like the two monks, they're walking down the path, and there's a big muddy patch. And there's this beautiful girl in a long dress and nice shoes, and she's trying to figure out how is she going to cross without getting dirty. And as the two monks approach, one of them realizes what the girl is doing there. So he just picks her up, carries her across, puts her down on the other side. She goes this way, they go that way, finish. Later that night, the other monk explodes. And he says, how could you do that? We're not supposed to look at women. You carried her. Where are your vows? Where's your commitment? How could you do it? And he says, listen, I put her down back on the road. Why are you still carrying her? So we do that because we give value to the words. But when you realize that words are sounds and you've interpreted them and given them value, then it's sort of like this. You know how long it takes to build these buildings? It takes years, right? To build the buildings. And then, oops. Sorry. Okay. And it takes years to build the buildings. Let's see if the video works. No, that didn't work. Okay. Well, anyway, you saw it on the screen. This is real time. In seconds, you can destroy what takes years to build. I had one woman talk to me. She said they've been in love, happy, married 25 years. And one day, the husband was in big financial troubles and had all kinds of problems. And he said something. And she can't forgive him. He apologized. He said, please, I'm so stressed. I didn't mean it. It's not something, 25 years we've been in love and happy. But she wouldn't forgive him. She took those words. She said, those were bad words. I don't accept. And she destroyed the marriage. Ridiculous. You see? We have to understand. He is in stress. He is having trouble. He is not a God. We don't have that kind of control over our mind. We say things. We vent. We have to allow others to do that. So words are nothing more than a knife on the table. Let's get that slide going. There we go. Words are nothing more than a knife on the table. You have to pick it up and stick it in your own heart, which is what humans love to do because we love to be drama queens. It's your choice. Right? How many times do you or people you know say, he said this to me, she did that to me, this happened to me, that happened to me, poor me, all these terrible things are happening to me, people said that to me, blah, blah, blah. No. Put it on the table, said, that poor guy is suffering. Oh, this one is sick. This one is worried about paying their bills. This one is worried about that. See, you can do it that way too. And that's more realistic, isn't it? And so you can choose an alternative, a better alternative. And the way you do it is very, very simple, actually. Observe yourself. You know what? Humans, all humans, we're pretty much the same. There's not that many differences between one person and another in the basic nature. So this exercise gives you all the power to understand everything I have just said. How many times do you yell at the Starbucks making your coffee, at the waiter at the table, at innocent people? How many times have you been angry and vented at someone and you know that they didn't deserve that? You know that you're just venting about some other problem in your life. So the more you observe yourself and understand the truth about your nature, human nature, the more you will understand, or at least instead of going in circles, change direction of the train, where you start to think with compassion and understanding that everyone is scared, everyone is in pain, because that's true, right? Nobody you know is not in any pain whatsoever. Everyone is in pain. And that there's always a reason that is hurting someone that they're attacking, because there's a reason you are attacking. So anytime you get angry at someone, attack someone, stop, think, why are you doing this? What is really bothering you in your life? And then you'll start to understand yourself and develop compassion for others. So just remember, whenever you feel fear, conflict, anger, insecurity, they don't mean to attack you. They're in pain and you are misinterpreting the situation. So do the best you can for the sake of doing your best. All right, when I had my first job, I was 13 years old. I worked in the factory of a clothing factory. I worked in the shipping room. And I didn't stop work at quitting time. I just did a little extra. And every job I did, I always did the best job I could for the sake of doing the best job I could. Why? Because I felt proud of what I've done. I respected myself because I know I did the best I could. So this is just something in your life. Now, when you're cleaning the dishes, make sure they're really clean. When you're cleaning the house, don't say, I don't want to go bother under the sofa. I don't want to get to the corners. Clean it well. Everything you do do the best you can, not for the reward, not for the pay, but for the sake of feeling very good about yourself, because you really did the best you could. Okay? Because your subconscious is watching. Another exercise, this is something a little bit on the side. Create something of beauty every day. So that could be clean the house, could be a little gardening, could be writing a poem, could be painting, anything. But human nature is to create. So this is just another, like a little vitamin on the side. Create something of beauty every day, and you'll feel better about yourself. All of these exercises are based on building self-esteem. They're based on feeling good about yourself, proud of who you are, and eliminating guilt, which is the contrary, right? Guilt means low self-esteem. No guilt, better self-esteem. So all of these things make you feel good about yourself. The better you feel about yourself, the more of a cloud you become, where no one can hurt you because you know the truth about who you are. So you see how I've put all the pieces of the puzzle together now. All right? So.
Can I have one question?
Yeah.
Read out to you, David?
Yeah.
So we have one question. So the question is, I always presume the matters when I receive an email or during personal chat as I behave strangely to recipients. Is any technique to reduce anxiety or to relax the mind before taking any action? Is meditation helpful to reduce stress?
I was a monk for 7 years, as I said, right? So I know a little bit about meditation. I've done 14 hours a day of meditation. Unfortunately, most people are not meditating when they think they're meditating, and they're just napping. We cannot meditate. True meditation, which means a mind is still, cannot happen if you feel guilty, if you feel that you have things to do. If your life is very hectic, very stressful, and you're always worried you're going to get caught out for something you didn't do or something like that, it's almost impossible to truly meditate. So I found that if I conduct myself in a way where I'm proud of who I am, then you won't get stressed. You won't worry about what they're going to be saying to you, because you'll feel that I have nothing to hide. So the reason when anything is coming in, it's like the fellow who was cheating on his taxes. If things are coming in that make you stressed or worried or anxiety, it's because you know you're hiding something, you're not pleased with yourself in some way. So, you know, it's like having a light bulb that has 100 blankets on it. You can try to turn up the power on the light bulb, but you'll never see the light. You have to remove the blankets in order for the light to shine through. So you can't really deal with the anxiety you feel, but rather you have to find the source of what makes you worried about. What am I going to do? Are they going to be complaining about something I did wrong because I didn't do my best? Are they going to be saying I didn't keep my word about a promise I made? So by always keeping your word, doing everything you said, doing the best job you can with everything you have to do, will make you feel more confident, comfortable with yourself, so you will not have anxiety when a message comes in, because you're not worried about, ooh, I did a little cheating here or didn't keep my word there. Is it going to be about that? You know, you won't have any guilt to worry about. So that's the way I would deal with it.
Yeah, so I would want to also add, David, my personal experience, which actually worked for me. It was taught by my manager, my mentor, that if there was an email or any message which I received, which I feel that I may not respond in a positive way, or in a proper way, the thing to do is read that email properly, like like the way you started your session, read the email completely from start to end to understand what is the content of it. Maybe one time, two time, three times. So by that time, you calm yourself and then respond. Similar to that on messages. And still, if you feel after three times of reading that email, I'm still frustrated. I may want to respond it negatively. Keep give 1 day to it. Respond after 24 hours when you are calm. Now, it actually worked for me. It's my personal experience.
Great. Yeah, if it works, try it. Absolutely. Anything that works, try it. I have found that I respond to things immediately and then I don't worry about them. But whatever works, everyone is in a different situation and so on. But I found that's how I was able to operate 8 different companies at one time, of course, with employees, is that I do everything immediately. And when I do everything immediately, because I am calm and I never get emotionally stressed, then everything started moving smoother. So I think your method is, or your suggestion is very good, excellent thing to do as somebody is going through the exercises I've given, because as I said, it'll take a few months to see a change in yourself. So I think the combination of what you suggested along with doing my exercises will be a perfect harmony over the next few months, and then things will change for a person.
Yeah. So there is one more question, David. It is more related to work and life balances. It could be possible that there is some kind of unpleasantness in work which can lead to unpleasantness in at life at home back with family, similar to that, vice versa. So the question is, we always dwindle between unpleasant situation at home and office. What would you advise to tackle as one affect other? Please guide how to handle, as a sense of loss is always there in this dynamic world.
All right, well, that, every situation is different. Okay, I have to say that. So I can tell you something, but you have to remember every situation might need a little difference. But for me, my wife died 8 years ago, almost 8 years. And she was sick for 10, okay? I know one thing, and I've studied humans all over the world. I've been to 94 countries, right? I retired when I was 28, so I've had a lot of life to travel and live in different countries. And you know what's one thing? There's only one thing that matters to a human being. From birth to death, the middle bits we tend to forget or ignore it, but there's only one thing, and that's companionship. Love. Companionship. That's all that matters. In the end, who we share our life with, who we love, who is our family, that one closest to us, that's what matters most. So when you get your priorities straight, if you look at a child or you look at an old person, you see the only thing they care about is, I want someone near me. And you realize that's what drives us. When you understand the basic core nature of a human being, that helps you get your priorities straight and put everything into perspective of what needs to be done. Now, why do we go to work? Why do we want to be famous? Why do we want to look good? All of it is so that people will love us, that we can provide, that we can be admired, we can be wanted. So the more you think about everything you do, the ultimate cause of all the causes and reasons you do it, because obviously you work to make money, to pay the rent, to buy food, but all of these things, why? And you realize that really everything is about love. Being with someone that I love, sharing my life. The more you let that become the true purpose of your life, that will change your subconscious in a way that it will be able to put everything in perspective, so you'll know the right thing to do at each moment when you're torn between work and family and so on. But every situation is different. But that's ultimately what I have found. Is that okay? You disappeared, Veena?
No, I'm absolutely good.
Okay.
Yeah, that actually pretty answers the question. We can go ahead with the session.
Okay, so here I'll give you one last exercise. Now, remember Medusa, right? You are a stone. Everyone knows old people have their habits, they don't change, okay? Why am I so still agile, flexible, energetic? Because I do not let myself get into any rigid habits, okay? The more habits you have, the more rigid you become. And the longer you have the habits, the more rigid you become. That's why old people get so stuck in their ways. So, this exercise, every month, you make one new habit and you break one existing habit. And you don't go back after 1 month. This is it for life. So, in 1 year, there's 12 new habits and 12 broken habits. And it could be as simple as that. Like when I brush my teeth, I'm holding the toothbrush, I'm aware of the sensation in brushing. The other finger, I'm tapping very quickly on the sink. I stand on my tippy toes and I count 1, 2, 3, 1 to 10, slowly. It could be if you take tea with milk and sugar, I stop taking sugar, then I stop taking milk, then I stop taking tea. There's 3 months of exercise, right? So every month, break one habit, make a new habit. Start your day, for example, a habit you make every day. As soon as you wake up, you have a bottle, half a liter, 3/4 of a liter of water by your bed. You wake up, you drink the whole bottle. Drink a half to 3/4 a liter, first thing, of pure water, first thing when you wake up. Okay? There's a great habit to make. So every month, make a habit, break a habit. What this does is it starts to, have you ever had a sponge that's dried and it's hard, right? So then when you put it in the water, it gets soft again, okay? Well, that's your mind. Your mind, the older you get, the more hard and rigid it gets. So we've got to soften it so it becomes flexible like a child. You've got to get back to the happiest time, right? When we're 4, 5, 6 years old, everything is great. We don't have habits, we're changing. We've got to get back to that. And this exercise will bring you back. So just from now on, for the rest of your life, every month, make a new habit, break an existing habit until you have no habits left to break. And you'll see how that changes your mind. This will make you so much more flexible. And this works in conjunction with the other exercises of being able to not go in circles and be able to respond with compassion instead of feeling stressed. Because the reason you go in circles, the reason you feel stressed, anxiety, is it's become a habit. And very often it's become a habit that we have learned from somebody else. And we have taken an opinion based on what we've seen other people do, which could be watching a movie you loved, or someone you admire, or when you get into the office, you're brand new, you're young, you get in the office and big job in a corporation, and people start telling you, okay, well, this is how it really works here. And you take other people's opinion, then you form your habit. All right? So this exercise softens your mind and allows you to change your habitual patterns, which are your emotional responses to words and events, because you think you know what they mean and that you think it's about you personally, when in fact, everyone is just venting their pain. And your habit should become, receive it with compassion and say, yell more, it'll make you feel better. And then you will have respect for yourself and be worthy of respect. And I'll finish with one true story. This is in India. My first trip in India was the late 80s. No computers. I went to the train station and I said, can I book a ticket for tomorrow? I want to go to Bombay or wherever it was, I forget where, small town. He says, no, sir, every day there is train. You come tomorrow, many train. Every day there is train, many seat. You come tomorrow, get ticket. I said, please, I'd like to book a ticket. I'll feel more comfortable, because I'm young, in a strange country and so on. No, you come tomorrow, you get ticket. There's every day there is train, you come tomorrow. Anyhow, I try and there's no way he's not giving me the ticket. Okay. The next day, checked out of my hotel, booked the next hotel, have my bag, come, same fellow in the train station. Oh, hi, good morning, how are you? Very nice, thank you, good sir. Can I have a ticket? He says, no train today, sir. What do you mean no train today? Yesterday you said there'd be a train. Oh yes, I told you there would be a train, but on this day of the week there is no train. You come tomorrow. Tomorrow there is train. I said, but you told me there'd be a train. Now I'm getting really frustrated because I'm ready to go. I don't know what to do. And I said, so why? If you knew there would not be a train today, why did you tell me there would be? And he said, I did not want to get you upset. Not much forward thinking, but good intentions. Didn't want to upset me. He didn't think that tomorrow I would get upset, right? How many times does this happen? You say something, someone says something, because at the moment, they don't want to get you upset, or you don't want to get them upset. But you're not thinking that it's going to be worse. So just remember that when someone with good intentions says something to you and you get upset. So those are my social media things. Take a screenshot. I welcome your emails, messages on WhatsApp. I use a New Zealand number because as I'm all over the world, I just keep that one permanently.
Yeah, we have a few questions here, David, to be answered.
Great.
What is my role as manager to help facilitate, shape, catalyze, and culture of emotional freedom in my team?
Wait a minute. To help facilitate what? I didn't hear it clearly.
What is my role as manager to help facilitate, shape, catalyze the culture of emotional freedom in my team?
Okay. Basically, to always remember everybody is scared, suffering, and worried about their future, okay? So when you're treating everyone with compassion from their life situation, then that creates an environment of understanding, of security, of comfort, okay? So it's really lead by example. So as the leader, you have to behave in a way that exhibits the conduct or the environment that you want to create. So everything comes from, if the CEO is cheating on their taxes, is lying, is making promises they don't keep, how could anyone in the company behave with integrity, right? But if the CEO honors their word, does everything they say, CEO or anybody, manager, whatever level, if you conduct yourself in a way that is worthy of respect, then for me, my experience, people love me. In all of my years, no one ever quit. My employees used to give me, I'm the boss, the owner of the company, they'd give me Christmas presents, birthday presents. Really, it's wonderful because my conduct, what they saw when customers would give me trouble, how I behaved, always doing what I said, that changed the environment. So rather than put demands on the people below you as the manager, conduct yourself with such integrity that the people admire and wish to become like you. And that is the best way to affect change. And then, of course, apply all of these things that I've said, or have me come back to do more training. Because, of course, it's a lot of work, a lot more things to teach. But the most important thing is conduct yourself in a way that is setting the perfect example. Yeah. But again, I always say, the reason I'm very effective in teaching now, that I retired from business. All I do is teaching and consulting. I'm very effective because I look at every situation individually. And that's part of what you have to do as a manager. You don't treat two people the same. You have to see each person individually. So I can't give blanket solutions. I'd have to see the team, the people, what is the actual job they're working on, the type of company, and so on. And then we make solutions that are suitable to that situation. So that's best I could answer for that.
Absolutely. There's the next question. I always try to keep exercises mentioned by David on back of my mind, but when a situation arises, I tend to forget everything and react based on the moment. Any advice to how to remind ourselves of how to act in the heat of a moment?
Okay. Some of these slides, you have these slides, you can distribute them. Pick some of the pictures and put them as your desktop on your computer or on your phone. That's one thing. But remind yourself that it could take 6 months maybe to have an effective change. So you have to do the exercises for a few months before you have changed. Now, one other exercise, I call it the Journal of Changes. So this is a book or a file, whatever. The only thing you write are things you noticed have changed. So for example, every time my sister calls, as soon as I hear her voice, I get angry. Or every time my brother calls, I know he's going to ask for money and I just immediately get angry. Not my family, but, stories I've heard from people. So, and then one day my sister calls and, I noticed I didn't get angry. I was very calm. So you write that down. So you start collecting notes of every change you notice in yourself after doing these exercises and so on. And then whenever you feel like, I'm not getting anywhere, or I had a relapse, you read the things that have, you've documented that, this actually works. I am changing, but it takes a long time because I'm 30, 40, 50 years old. I've been doing the wrong things for so long, I can't expect change overnight. Right? So remind yourself that things take time and just be persistent with the exercises. Next.
The next question is, to all of it, being angry to yourself, hating yourself, affect our behaviors to situation and people. It is affecting our life quality. We know that, but how can we get rid of this feeling, get rid of feelings like we are in prison inside of ourselves?
All right. Okay, this is really going to sound strange, but I had one of my students who was very much like that, always worried, feeling insecure, feeling stressed, and so on. And he says, people think I'm stupid and incompetent. And I said, well, that's because you are. You are stupid. You are incompetent. You're a human. Who do you think you are? A human is probably one of the most ridiculous creatures in the whole universe. That's the objective reality. We always see that in other people, but we don't like to see it in ourselves. So by accepting the reality, he became so confident, so comfortable with himself. By just accepting the objective reality that I cannot expect to be perfect. I cannot expect to be, change overnight. But I know that if I strive for it, I will achieve positive change. So you remember how I said about divert and attack? We're doing this to ourselves. One of a human being's greatest skills is lying to themselves and trying to believe things that are just not true about yourself. Never mind about everybody else. So the more we look objectively and accept the reality that a human being is a very flawed creature that needs a lot of education and training and practice that we've never been given, then how can you expect to be perfect? So we accept are inadequacies, except that I am a very fallible creature. But now that I know that, I will become better. Because I now have the tools. I have the 6 questions to ask every night. I strive to be more open-minded. I am going to make my mind more flexible, not so rigid. So now that I know all the flaws of my being human, and I have the methods of change, I can feel good about myself because every day I'm going to make a little bit better person out of myself. So the reason that we have problems is because we know we're flawed subconsciously, and we're not doing much to change it. And we just justify it and make excuses and divert from it by watch TV, go to a movie, do this, do that, so I don't have to look at myself. That's why meditation is good, because it is a matter of taking some time to reflect upon your actions. But you must reflect upon yourself from the reality that you have never been taught how to be an individual who thinks for themselves. You've been formed into your culture and language and so on, into your family, to like things because that's where you grew up, instead of being more flexible and adapting. So knowing the flaw and saying, now I have the tools and I am determined to become better, that will give you a greater sense of self-confidence, of comfort with yourself. But remember, it takes time. You have to be patient. I always say, give it 6 months at least before you expect any changes. But be devoted to 6 months of effort. And then you'll see. And you know what, who will see it? Not you. You don't see change. Your friends will see the change. Your friends, your family, your coworker, all of a sudden they'll say, you know, what happened to you? You're different. That's where you'll see it.
There's another question, David, is how to deal with uncertainty.
How to be what? I'm sorry?
How to deal with uncertainty.
Well, life is very uncertain, isn't it? We never know what's going to happen in 1 minute. The reason that uncertainty bothers us is we live in this ridiculous illusion that it is possible to have certainty. You know, it's an exercise I give is you go to the cemetery and you look at the gravestones and you see 1 year, 2 years old, 3 years old, 10 years, 20 years old, died so young. There is nothing certain about life. Hoping to have certainty in a world which is so uncertain is ridiculous. That's just going to torture you. So, the best way to deal with uncertainty is to make yourself into a cloud, to make yourself flexible and adaptable so that you know that when things change, if the plan is going this way or I don't know which way it's going to go, I know I will be able to adapt and with an open mind find a solution. So the only way to deal with uncertainty is to feel comfortable with yourself, knowing that you will adapt and you can adapt to changing situations. It's like a martial artist, somebody who is an excellent fighter. He's not scared of getting attacked because he knows if someone attacks him, he can beat him. He has the skill. So I'm trying to give you the skills so that you can deal with changes so that uncertainty won't scare you because you know if things change, you can deal with it. That'd be the only way because you're never going to stop uncertainties. That's what this world is all, it runs by that.
I think COVID has taught us that lesson that everything is uncertain.
Yeah, and then never mind COVID. And then what about people in Ukraine? Whoa, look what's come to us. Well, who thought this, huh? You know, yeah.
We will take the last question of this session, David. What is your view about whole idea of progressing from self-awareness to self-knowledge and then to self-mastery as the path to getting better at being myself?
Well, they're all really the same thing. If you know who you are, then you will be master of yourself. So, yeah, that's pretty much everything is what I'm teaching. All my work is about that, so that we do become aware of ourself. First of all, self-awareness means knowing what really matters. Okay? So you're aware of your true nature. And all you have to do is realize by looking at what we are when we're little babies, what matters, and what does a baby want? To be close to someone, hold hands, right? Kids love climbing, touching you, huh? So self-awareness is what really matters most as a human being, because we're still human. So it means companionship. Self-consciousness means I know that, what am I? Am I David? Am I Canadian? Am I the son of an Indian mother, Iraqi father, they met in London. He's from Baghdad, she's from Bombay. They met in London. I'm born in Canada. What am I? I've been to 94 countries. I could be any one of those, right? So we have to know that I am something despite all of the other effects of my humanity. But there is something in me that thinks, that has absorbed all of this information and has formed a personality of the human being, which could also be your body, right? Are you thin? Are you fat? Are you big muscles? All of this. There is something that makes the decisions as to what I will do. There is something, that sponge, that learnt all of this and has become me. So when I'm aware of this, and then I know the humanity side of me, I can master my mind, my spirit, and my humanity. All right? So it all comes by proving to yourself that everything you think you know is wrong and that you know nothing. I always say the reason I'm so successful is because I know I'm stupid. I know I'm stupid. I know I don't know much. I know nothing. So I'm listening, I'm learning. So that is the way we master ourself, because we know the truth about what we are and we know the truth about what matters. Humanity, companionship, as long as I'm human. But there's something in me that obviously is not human, that is a consciousness. In other words, not physical. It's a consciousness. So I proved that exists. Something dreams when I sleep, and those dreams can be really weird, and they can be about things which I have no way to know how I dreamed this up. So how is this possible? And just by observing all these things, you'll become aware that there is something more to you than just a human and what matters as a human, so that you're not lost in guilt, diverting and attacking yourself. And that is when you'll have that moment of epiphany, of awareness, of the true nature of your being. And that is when true meditation can happen, because your mind will be still and focused on listening instead of talking. I hope that answers. But the spiritual side of life, that type of question, that is definitely something that I will work with, but not online too. not as easy online. That's further work as we continue. If anyone wants to continue working with me, we can get into that.
Yeah. Thank you so much, David. If anyone would like to contact David directly, the phone numbers and the email address are there on the screen. For any kind of mentorship programs, you can contact him directly.
Right.
Thank you so much, David, for joining. We have half an hour time, more than our scheduled time. That shows the kind of engagement we had. Thank you so much for everyone attending this session. Thanks. It was a great session.
My pleasure. Thank you. The best way, by the way, is not the social media, but rather either email or WhatsApp. That's the best way, because I don't look at that, somebody else manages that. So thank you very much, and I love the questions, by the way. That makes it so much more fun for me.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.